Hola a todos, bienvenidos a un nuevo capítulo de 40 Rooms Podcast. Estamos aquí con un invitado especial, Gregory Dunne, y para honrar su lengua materna vamos a hacer este capítulo en inglés para poder también transmitir a todos quienes miran a Chile desde afuera todo lo que nosotros vemos, que nos maravillamos de Santiago, de este país maravilloso. Así que bienvenido, Gregory Dunne. Welcome to 40 Rooms Podcast, the podcast from of Hotel Magnolia.
Thank you for receiving me. Thank you for being here and doing all the things you do in our beautiful center of Santiago. And yes, ready and waiting for your questions.
So the same. The first thing I was going to say is thank you from all of us, the Chilean citizens, for all that you do for to contribute to our country. So I think that not so many people know about it, and we're gonna discuss it. But
sure.
So thank you very much.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. To clarify, I'm a clean energy entrepreneur, and in the last 10 years in Chile, we've had a clean energy revolution in this country, and now 50% of our electricity generated is from wind and solar, with hydro making a big contribution also. So our level of air pollution has gone down significantly, arising from energy generation. Yeah. So that's one revolution we've had here, and it's been very successful, and it's an example to the continent. Yeah. But also we are trying to really up the game here in the center of Santiago culturally.
Yeah.
And we've been doing, all of us have been working, including yourself, to really up the game and the offering nationally and internationally in the cultural sector. And I try to support where I can.
Yeah, and I'm a spectator of what you've been doing. So for the ones who don't know you, you were born in Ireland.
Correct.
But you have been living in Chile for more than 15 years, right? You
Correct.
have family here in Chile.
I do.
Your partner is Chilean.
Yes.
And also, well, as you said, you're an investor in the energetic industry space, right? And you're an important art collector and sponsor of some artists, Chilean artists, right?
Right, yes. Yes, we have many, many wonderful artists in Chile. Many are internationally known and recognized, like Cecilia Vicuña, who is the biggest name in international art circles at the moment. Not everybody knows this, but she is actually Chilean, as is Alfredo Yar, who's also one of the big names, and he is also Chilean. And so we have many Chilean artists now and in the past, like Roberta Mata, who are very much recognized internationally. That talent comes from Chile, and right now we have many, many wonderful artists here, and I'm happy to help support them where I can, by adding them to my collection, by helping them in difficult times, such as the pandemic, which was very difficult for artists, not just financially, but also conceptually. How do you paint that? How do you paint an international crisis? So we try to support where we can and also give them exposure. The art ecosystem in Chile is not perfect. People at the moment don't come to Chile for art, to fairs, to museums, and we need to help really up the game on a societal level to get Chile in the same place as Buenos Aires or Sao Paulo or Ciudad de Mexico in the eyes of art collectors and art lovers in the world.
What do you think that this happens? Why are we not at the same level of Buenos Aires or Mexico?
Well, I think the first thing is Chile is a very young country, like my country, Ireland. I mean, there's only 200 years old or whatever. And that's a young country in which we don't generally see everything through a cultural lens. So Chile economically is very developed. It's very transparent. People can look at it. They can come here. They can understand what's going on. They can buy things, anything they like. And it's a very easy point of entry to the market. I think Chile culturally still has some way to go. It needs to realize that to see life in a cultural way makes life very, very interesting. and solves complex problems for people, for politicians, and for all actors in the society. So we are on the way there, but there's still some way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say that it also gives hope, right? Art gives
Yes.
hope for the kids.
It's a kind of a magic, really.
Right.
It's a kind of a magic. Art adds something magic to one's life. Something very special.
And do you think, this was not a question that I prepared yesterday. I prepared today in the morning.
It was.
So yesterday, the hotel was mentioned as one of the top 5 hotels in Latin America. And when I saw the comments in the Instagram publication from the news and whatever,
Post.
all the Chileans were like, yeah, but they are not so good. They are not Chilean or whatever. Like most of the comments were so negative, and I was pissed. And it's not easy. I don't get mad easily. So, but I was thinking. So I was last weekend. I was in Argentina, and I was thinking like, if this would happen in Argentina, everybody would be like, yeah, I love that hotel. I've been there. Let's go Argentina, whatever. Do you think that our, the lens that we see Chile through, we're our biggest enemies, I feel?
Yes. I mean, there's a whole range of different comments there. First of all, you need to understand that Chile is an island. And it's very, very internalized in the way that people think, in the way that they speak, and their accent, and their choice of words to express themselves. It's very, very internalized. I mean, we have the driest desert, we have the end of the world, we have the Andes, and we have the ocean. So, it's inward looking. And people don't always have the sort of international perspective. As an international investor, in hospitality like yourself or energy like myself. And that's why an important part of the whole ecosystem in Chile is foreign investors to come here, to improvise, to show people what can be done with the resources that are available. And the mining industry and the energy industry and the hospitality industry is full of foreign investors bringing a great, richness of experience to Chilean life. Mm-hmm. So that's a cultural, issue which we all have to deal with every single day, and it'll take a generation to change that. Really, culture, as I said, to develop my point earlier, is not really in the DNA of Chileans. Yeah. Now you go to Argentina, and even in the worst crisis or recession, the cafes are all full of people talking about art and music and literature. It's very, very different, the cultural surround. It's not like that here, not yet. Partly, and we're getting there, but there are strong cultural differences, and you can't really say, ever that Chile is American. It looks American uptown, but it's not. It's not. It's not. You can't say that it's European. Looks a bit European in Valparaiso, but it's not. You can't say that it's Latin American. Typically, we're not all dancing around with pineapples on our heads or whatever. Yeah. The fact about Chile is that Chile is Chilean. Right. And people coming here have got to understand that reality. And accept it and move on and work with the Chileans to create the Chile that everybody wants.
So don't change it, just use the unique resources and culture that we have and see the beautiful part of it.
Build on the great Chilean attributes. Mm-hmm. The language is difficult to understand, but it's their language, and they express things in the way that tells you about their personality. For a lot of people, it's Spanish that's very feo, very, very ugly. But, the fact about it is it's theirs. It's their cultural resource. It's their way of expressing themselves in a certain way. And we as foreigners cannot be arrogant and come in and say that's not how to speak Spanish. We need to understand that is the way into their mind. That is the way into their personality. And go there with them and meet them at that common cultural point. Yeah. So you have to work quite hard here in Chile in a cultural and societal sense. but it's not a good thing to walk in and expect things to be the way they are in Miami or in
New
Sao
York
Paulo or wherever. It's not.
It's not.
It's not. Chile is Chile, and Chile is very Chilean.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that, you will come here and you will fail. You will lose money and
Yeah.
you will lose respect.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a refreshing point of view. Thank you. Thank you.
it comes from living here for 15 years, and it comes really, really, really from working here.
Right.
When you work here, you've got to, get into the campo. You've got to roll up your sleeves. You've got to communicate with the people. They have to understand you, and you have to understand them. And so there isn't any choices. And if you're an entrepreneur or emprendedor like me, I can't lose all my money in Chile. I have got to make this happen. So I think, when you work here and you stand with the Chileans, you get a very unique understanding because you don't have any choices. You can't fail. You must succeed. And the recipe for success is here. This is a developed country that has incredible physical assets. It has a beautiful environmental endowment, and all the things, which help the hospitality industry. But, it is its own country, very, very much.
Yeah.
You got to get into that space.
Yeah. So you live in a historic building here at the city center in downtown. Okay. So what it's that you find so appealing about the city center, and you decided to live here? Like most of the Chilean people would say, like, no, I don't like the center. For me, it's the most beautiful sightseeing that you will have in Santiago. But I want to know, why did you decide to live here?
Yes. The big, everybody was selling me, the uptown part of Santiago, as a so-called gringo. That is where you live. That is where they all live. I'm not a person who likes to be, classified or fit into a particular sort of, box in society. I like to think out of the box and think about what I want. One practical matter was that there were large apartments available to buy here in the centre of the city at a price that was accessible. Yeah. Now, I had previously lived in London for 25 years in apartments that were, 1, very small, 2, very expensive, and 3, a long way from the centre of the city. So, I live here in a gigantic apartment, sufficient to hold my art collection and the many visitors that I have. I'm right in the center of everything, near the airport, everything, it wasn't that expensive. It really wasn't that expensive.
And it's beautiful,
so that's
right?
why, and I'm right beside a park. I've got a view of the Andes. I've got a view of Cerro San Cristóbal. I've got a view of the Museo Nacional de Bellas Artes. How much better does it get? I have a wonderful terrace.
It doesn't.
So it needs a lot of investment, but I'm very happy with the result, and I've had wonderful, really, really great times in that beautiful apartment.
Yeah.
It's very historical. It was actually belonged to the Letelier family for a long time. I only found this out by accident. So there's a lot of history, and there's new histories. We're making new history.
Yeah, we're making it. Yeah. I have been in your apartment. It's one of the most beautiful apartments I have ever.
And further to that, the center of Santiago, architecturally, is just a textbook in architectural styles. And you can walk down here past this hotel. You can see beautiful examples of Art Deco, Art Nouveau, Neoclassical, Belle Epoque, Colonial Moorish. It's all there. There is a spectacular amount of not just architectural splendors, well, decorative arts as well, with this beautiful decorative ironwork you find here, with, the galleries, these wonderful galleries, many of which are modernist. There's fine modernist architecture here. It seems in a way like architecture sort of stopped at the end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s. And then they started building the apartments and everything. So it's like it's a breakfast buffet like you have in your hotel. You can walk into the center, you will always see something new and incredibly important. It's not always taken care of in the way or appreciated in the way that it should be. Chilean society is quite fragmented by class, and so people have different views which are colored by that socioeconomic reality. So there's work to do, and it's very important, the work that you were doing here, you know, renovating beautiful areas, improving them, taking custody of the patrimony here, and showing it to people in a really profound way.
Yeah, there's so much to do, but
There's so much to do.
we're enjoying the process, right?
Yeah. And I think, you know, we need to create an example, you know, to bring investors into the center of Santiago.
Does every city's downtown happen to be like this, right? Like in Sao Paulo, I don't know if in Ireland is the same or London is the same, that downtown is like always like people tend to move away from downtown or not, in your international perspective?
I think it really depends on the surround. It really does depend on the surround. You know, you have cities where the downtown has been renovated substantially and invested in, and there's been regeneration, and that's needed here, particularly in the barrios south of the center. You know, Yungay, Barrio Conchitoro, you know, Paris, Londres. They need to be. They are recognised, but they need to go to the next stage, and there are plenty of examples. I don't think the centre here is actually abandoned.
No.
You know, in any great sense, the public sector is here, the state-sponsored sector are here. We have very important cultural institutions who have developed their own offerings, like the Teatro Municipal, one of the few opera houses in Latin America, who have managed to appeal to the uptown and the downtown.
Yeah.
You know, and their message should be heard and understood and copied for other cultural institutions. You know, so people are working, but not always. It's a bit fragmented, and not always is there joined up thinking. But the center of the city it's very important that we concentrate on that and keep it alive and keep it important, keep it busy. You know.
Do you have some favorite places that you can mention, like 3 favorite places in downtown that we should visit? Only 3.
In the downtown, yes. I mean, obviously the Teatro Municipal has to be one of them. You know, it was built in the Italianate style. So you go there and you listen to Verdi or something. You are transported centuries, you know, into a very special place. So that is a very special place, and they have a substantial history to draw on, you know, and do very professional productions with quite limited resources. In terms of hidden treasures, from an art point of view, I would say the Museo de Salvador Allende, the Solidaridad de Salvador Allende, is an absolute buried treasure, because it is the only museum in Chile that has a substantial and important international collection. And so you can go there, you can see the Chilean offering, and you can compare it and contrast it with international offerings along the same themes: social themes, cultural themes, political themes. And you can make an evaluation of the Chilean offering in one place very quickly. There was a very unique cultural vision that was behind the creation of that museum, which was, even though, you know, that period of history for Chile is very controversial. It divides society, you know. However, there was one very good idea, that culture is for everyone, and culture is important to the development of a society, whatever the political surround. And everybody agreed on that at that time. They created this institution, which has an extraordinary collection and a beautiful building and wonderful staff. And I would recommend that people visit.
I've never been. I have to say it. I've never been.
Well, now you must let me accompany you to this wonderful institution. So, like, people don't know about it. Yeah. In terms of one more, that's a heavy lift. I never, you know, seek to gasp in amazement when I pass the headquarters of Banco Estado. A lot of Art Deco interiors and Art Nouveau interiors sadly have been lost. But at least they kept the exteriors. There's a very good example down here by Mercado Central. But with Banco Estado, they kept all the interiors, as well as the exteriors, and it is an Art Deco masterpiece. Up there with the Cristo Redentor in Rio. It's an Art Deco masterpiece of Latin America. And just to stand there and look at it is really breathtaking. The geometry, the whole linear, soaring, statement of the architecture is something really special. But there are only three. I mean, there's a lot more which to enjoy. It would be good if there was a bit more of a public focus on opening up these treasures to people, documenting them a bit better. The universities do a lot, and they do a lot to preserve what they have in terms of architecture, buildings, collections. They do a great deal. But, it needs to go beyond the academic space and into the public space.
And the Dia del Patrimonio, the one day that every patrimonial building is open, it's full. Everybody wants to visit them.
Everybody. I mean, everywhere is full. People, are bought in. They're bought in. It's simply a question of structure and strategy and organization. But people are bought in. Chileans are proud of what they have, and they really enjoy to see new things in a new way and question that, and say, well, what does that mean, and why is it important to us, and why are we enjoying this so much? To develop that cultural framework and sensibility within society. Things like Dia del Patrimonio are very, very important for Chile.
Yes.
Because it develops that sense of awareness and pride of what we have around us. So,
right, everybody ends up the day like with a heart full of joy and appreciation, like of what we have. I feel there's
an aesthetic aspect to their life, maybe sometimes for the first time. Which is a beautiful feeling to appreciate something aesthetically. And understand why you're appreciating it is very profound part of human nature. It's a statement about perception. It's a statement about beauty. It's a statement about the intangible things in life which make life whole. And that's what people are experiencing when they experience the Belle Epoque interior of the Museo Nacional de Bellas Artes or whatever. They think, well, this is something special. Why is it special? And this is a special day for Chile. More of that sort of strategy is required.
We're getting there.
Well, certainly. Certainly. There's an ecosystem. We need to keep building on that ecosystem to get the whole offering, visible and understood.
So another question, maybe you will find it difficult, but also if you can mention maybe 5 Chilean artists that you like, 3 or 5, like everybody needs to know that it's not, the typical ones like we know.
That's kind of a problem for us to an extent because people you go abroad to an international art fair or forum or gathering of all the art people, and where you live. I live in Chile. And what do you understand about Chilean art? 2 words: Roberto and Mata.
That's it.
So you just can't get beyond that. And Roberto Mata's art is very important from an international perspective, but not from a Chilean perspective. Right. He was allied with major European art movements like Cubism and Surrealism and Symbolism and so forth. So he wouldn't really be, a typical Chilean artist. And so you run up against that problem. Then the other problem is that there are Chilean artists out there who are very famous, very recognized, very treasured, but people don't know they're Chilean. Nobody knows that Alfredo Yar is Chilean. Cecilia Vicuña, maybe, given her promotion of certain indigenous and other, national issues on the world stage. So it's important that people, come here and find out the amazing artists which we have, which are the fathers of modern art in Chile. So I would single out a husband and wife team, which was Jose Balmes, and his wife, Gracia Barrios. And we have a foundation set up by their niece in their memory, preserving and teaching the world about how important they were. I mean, they are really the fathers of Chilean modernism. Balmain's made statements something like Francis Bacon, with a huge amount of passion and a huge amount of violence and a huge amount of expression in his works. He had very strong feelings. He used materials in a very, very dynamic way. It's almost like a performance, his paintings. His wife then was more considered and more intellectual and very focused on women. And she painted many, many, many works which are figurative, but figurative in an abstract way. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at a very volatile period politically, and she's painting the perception of what will be a woman or a miner or these central figures in Chilean society in that environment, an environment of uncertainty. So she's very important. But I'd also like to mention some young artists. We have fantastic young artists here. Yes. Some of them have left, for other shores. But here we have great young artists. I just mentioned a few. Rodrigo Arteaga, he is involved in environmental issues and creates fragile and beautiful works based on environmental concerns and realities here in Chile. Adrian Jouet, I'm using the French way. I don't know how they pronounce it here. It's Jouet in Francais. But the Jouet, I think you pronounce it here. He creates works which are a little bit psychedelic, a little bit ethereal, but based on reality. And he's very, very into mythology. He's very into kind of reducing the solidity of objects and creating an ethereal and beautiful and really a little psychedelic sort of space. He's going to be big. He's going to be very big. He's already pretty big, but he's going to be even bigger. I mean, I could go on. I think I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, that's perfect. So you give some names.
For people, they should recognize the names that are important in Chilean art, but also look at the younger artists.
For sure.
There's a lot of talent. There's a huge amount of talent.
Yeah, they are our future, and we should support them, right? So it's important to mention them for sure.
Yeah.
So one other question, a personal one: cats or dogs? Right? Nothing to do with art, but I know that you have cats and you have dogs. So I wanted to know your perspective and have like.
Oh
this.
my word, that's a.
That's
I can't divide my loyalties. I can't divide my loyalties. Yeah, so I mean, I have to put the cards on the table and say that my husband is a dog person and I'm a cat person.
Yeah, right.
So, but that makes for a family, right? In which everybody is accepted. So, so I do like cats. I like their attitude. They're very cool. Yeah, right. Very stylish, right? And they can behave badly with my visitors and family, and they can get away with it. I can't do that. So I'm kind of jealous of their realities, really. But dogs are wonderful. They're affectionate. They're loyal. I don't know how I would have got through the pandemic without our dogs, who kept me company, who, were sweet and loyal and did all the things that dogs do, so well. So
both are amazing, but
they're both amazing. I'm more a cat person myself, I have to say. But that's just a matter of preference rather than reality.
Yeah. I think the same. I would have both. So, Greg, thank you, and
pleasure.
Thank you again for, for contributing to our country in an anonymous way, and also for, I hope that everybody who sees this interview, they will be like hopeful and, excited to get to know our country. So thank you for all your vision. So you're always welcome here. You're part of Magnolia.
I love to come here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Y gracias a todos los que estaban viendo. Vamos a mencionar a todos esos artistas para que podamos seguirlos, apoyarlos y nos vemos en un próximo capítulo.
Gracias. Hasta luego.